I love collecting achievements. What's this? Bump a 1,000 frogs 1,000 times. Really? Why? Okay. Well, I still like collecting achievements. Oh, now what's this? Collect 150 faction items. Those things are so out of the way. They aren't even hard to get, and they want me to do that 150 times? Look, I collect achievements. I like it. Complete 200 angler quests. Are you kidding me? 200 quests, that's insane. You can only even do one once every, 24 minutes. Look, despite everything, somehow I do this for fun. Or is it even fun? Am I just chasing the dopamine high of a little pop-up in the bottom right corner of my screen that doesn't even do anything? To make some numbers a little bigger on my profile that nobody else I know even cares about? Yep, that's pretty much it. But even still, okay, I think there's something to be said for achievements. Not all of them are as mind-numbingly tedious as the ones I just showed. Some of them are, in fact, actually fun to get. Like, take a look at this. Fly an airplane under 30 bridges. That's fun. That's genuinely fun, it's tricky, and it's something you wouldn't even think about doing if there was no reward for it. When you're flying around, finding a bridge is suddenly a little exciting. How about from the same game, and this is the rarest achievement, drive all 104 vehicles. On its face, this might sound a lot like the very boring collect 150 faction items, and yet the experience of earning it is so much more interesting. I'm sure this isn't the case, but this 14-year-old game still feels like it has the biggest open world I've ever seen. So unless you have literally all the time in the world, you're gonna need a guide to know where to find all the vehicles. But even with one, tracking them all down and driving or flying, riding, whatever, the vehicles is just fun. The faction items are in the middle of nowhere, but all the vehicles are found in more interesting locations that feel more deliberately designed and unique. So you're really getting a guided tour of the landscape. Or if you're a masochist and refuse to check a guide, looking for 104 needles in a haystack. But that's enough about Just Cause 2, though. It's a good game, by the way. There's an article from Soren Johnson, a designer for Civilization 3 and 4, among other things, with the somewhat famous quote, "Given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of a game." Basically, players will use the most efficient strategy to accomplish a goal, even if it isn't the most fun way to play. Even if it isn't fun at all. But what about when the intended method for achieving something is way less fun or interesting than coming up with an optimized solution? One example might be my little video about automating the solitaire mode in Xbox that nobody watched, but, I get it. It's fine. Going back to those tedious achievements from the start, what if I told you they aren't actually all bad after all? Take the infamous fishing achievement from Terraria. You can only complete one quest for the angler per day, and days are 24 real-life minutes long. That means 200 quests will take 80 hours. But if you play the game differently, you can get it not only faster, but in a more interesting way. There's an alternate game mode in Terraria called Journey Mode, which is almost like a halfway point between survival and creative mode in Minecraft. You can have an infinite supply of any item you want so long as you've researched it, which requires finding a certain amount legitimately. You also get the power to modify certain game rules, like adjusting the weather, enemy spawn rates, or, and this is the important one, the rate at which time passes, up to 24 times the standard speed. So you simply set time to move as fast as possible, research every fish the angler can ask for, and then you're all set to just sit there and complete 200 quests in no time. Actually, it still takes over 3 hours because each day is a minute long, but that's a significant improvement, alright? The critical factor that makes this fun to do is that Journey Mode isn't just cheating. It's a very different way to play the game, to be sure, but you still have to start a new character from scratch on a new world, equip yourself enough to rescue the angler and catch every quest fish, and then actually complete every quest. I don't know if I'd call the whole experience fun, but still, it's at least motivating players towards engaging with Journey Mode, which isn't something I'd have tried out otherwise. It really does sound like easy mode for babies instead of what it actually is, which is like a god mode, and those things are always fun to mess with. You can lower the enemy spawn rates, sure, but you can also raise them up to make it way harder. Getting to control the time and weather is also just plain fun. Anyways, I'm not gonna say earning your average achievement is a revelatory experience that forever changes the way you look at a game. A tedious achievement turning out to have some interesting way to get it much faster is a bit rare. The best case when looking at an achievement list is simply not to see anything that says do X, Y times. And oftentimes games don't have a problem with this, but every now and again you get something like Torchlight 2. Sell 50,000 items, destroy 100 socketed gems, use 100 find 100 secret rooms, use 500,000 potions, fish 100,000 critical strikes, use an enchanter 500 times, break 1,000 breakables. It's dumb. It's dumb. You might as well just replace those all with a single achievement for playing for 100 hours. I'm sure it would accomplish basically the same thing. Oftentimes, achievements are simply given out for accomplishing goals you'd get anyways from normal play. Yakuza 0, and, every other game, has achievements for completing chapters of the main story. To the Moon has a single achievement just for beating the game, and Skyrim has achievements for progressing through every major questline. If you're playing a game with achievement hunting in mind, these may as well not even exist, because if you're going for a bunch of extra goals in a game, simply beating the game is a given. I think these are more for casual players to be a little extra motivated to see a game through to its conclusion. And if you've ever looked at the achievement stats, then you can see just how many people don't finish the games they play. I understand that games as a medium are generally a big time investment, and maybe you get stuck, maybe you get bored, maybe you just don't think the game is fun. But even still, I'm always amazed at how few people finish the games they play. 2/3 of players didn't beat Doom. But okay, maybe that's a little long, people got bored. What about a shorter game? Super Hexagon is, in theory, 6 minutes worth of gameplay. 94% of people have never beat it. But it's also Super Hexagon, so that's extremely understandable. It's hard. What about something short that isn't even that hard? Cathy Rain is a 5-hour point-and-click game that basically doesn't even have any puzzles to get stuck on. 84% of people never finished it. I'm not saying I play every game I start to completion, but I do at least try. It must be a little disheartening for the developers of a game to realize that the vast majority of players don't actually finish the experience. So if something as simple as an achievement for getting through a tricky part of the critical path through a game motivates some people to see it through to the end, then that's a good thing. At their best, achievements give you the motivation to try out an unusual playstyle, or to seek out side content you might have otherwise missed. You can use 100%ing a game as a way to make sure you aren't missing out on anything fun in a game you really like, or to challenge yourself with an extra tricky objective. Or they can be... what's this? Play the game 1,000 times? Derek, I thought you were better than this. Now, just getting individual achievements is fun and all, but the real dopamine comes from getting every single one in a game. It's usually hard, it's hardly ever worthwhile, and while most games are at least possible, there's unfortunately a lot of bugged or simply impossible achievements nowadays. Nobody plays the Doom multiplayer anymore. Hitman Absolution has a multiplayer mode that's busted, and here's a real annoying one. Rochard is a game developed by Recoil Games, which went bankrupt, so they took their games off the Steam store. That includes DLC for Rochard, which has achievements, and I don't have the DLC. I'm never going to be able to 100% this game because the developer went bankrupt. I'm sorry, but that's just stupid. As for what games I have 100%ed, honestly, most of them aren't even that impressive. Some of them are like Feather, where there's only a single achievement, and you get that just by booting up the game. That's gotta be the absolute least impressive game to 100% possible, but I do have some I'm proud of. Boson X is a Super Hexagon-esque game that's very satisfying to complete. I've also done Elden Ring, Skyrim, Terraria, Just Cause 2, the Spyro Trilogy, Teardown. I've even gotten the Stanley Parable achievement for not playing the game for 5 years, legitimately. And the rest of the achievements in that game too. I just love seeing that little blue ribbon, you know? Especially in my case, my Steam library is a total dumpster fire. I have over 750 games, so whenever I complete one, I shove it into a little category, and then never think about it or play it again. I've even played a few games I didn't even enjoy that much, just to get them out of my head so I can move on to other things. And that isn't great, like, psychologically, but I like that. It makes me feel like I'm making progress on this absolutely impossibly large backlog of games I own. Not that I even want to play every single game I own. I mean, look at this. Ew. Is that an achievement? Okay, I can play a little more. It's happening again. I can't stop myself. Yeah, it's not worth it.